So my name's Kevin Wu. I am the COO and one of the co-founders of Fernway, based out of here in Northampton, Massachusetts.
Nice. And what do you guys do?
Yeah, so we're a cannabis vaporizer brand. We launched in February of last year, 2021. That's when we first sold our first products, but we sell 510 vaporizer cartridges, half gram and full gram, and we sell Massachusetts' very first recyclable vape cartridge. It's an all-in-one device called the Traveler, and that's available in a 0.3 gram and a 0.7 gram.
Nice. That got me really excited because we've been seeing a lot of movement in the market around the move away from 510s towards more of the disposable packaging, and obviously that comes with certain drawbacks. It's great for the consumer. Consumers love the form factor and everything, but you guys took that a step forward. Could you tell me a little bit more about the challenges involved with setting all that up?
Yeah, so we saw the same things that you did. Customers really enjoying the all-in-one form factor with the oil and the battery connected, but we really didn't like the environmental impact of that product form. And so before we launched our take on that product form, we were able to find a recycling partner. And what they do and what we do is, after one of our recyclables are spent, after the oil is consumed, the customer can bring it back to where they purchased it and deposit it in a recycling box. We go out and collect the recycling box, collect all of them here at the facility in Northampton. And a few times a year, our partner comes out and they collect all of the devices that we've collected. And what they do is they dip everything in liquid nitrogen, and then they pulverize the devices into a dust, and then they heat it up to varying temperatures to recover the different materials found in the devices.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's a movement in the market that I think all of us want to see, and you guys are kind of a pioneer with that. Really appreciate the work on that and everything. Switching gears a little bit. So first of all, how'd you learn about VapeJet?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. It must have been on the internet somewhere. I think I must have saw one of your posts somewhere. But we were pre-revenue, and we were looking for a way to fill cartridges. We were just 4 guys in a house at the time, and we didn't have the money to spend on a fully automated, a big fancy machine. And what I came across was your jet fueler. I think it just come out at the time, and it was a perfect fit for what we needed. And it was a great machine for us to learn about oil paths and how distillate and cannabis oil can move through PTFE lines and reservoirs. And I think we actually we evaluated. We tried to evaluate almost every machine in the market, every filler in the market, but decided to go with the jet fueler. And 1 jet fueler quickly turned to 3 jet fuelers, I think. And then finally we upgraded to the fully automated VapeJet. And now we have 5 of them.
Wow. I do know, because I designed the things, I know that those early jet fueler, especially, I believe you got one of the very first serial numbers of the jet fueler devices. And, we were also going through a learning process at the time. We were learning all the things about the product that we didn't know from high throughput manufacturing. And to be completely honest, they broke a lot. There were a lot of issues with those early jet fuelers, but can you maybe talk more about the process of kind of how we mutually learn, went through all that? Because I do know, we worked together, you gave us a lot of feedback on things that needed to be improved, and we went back to the drawing board, and it's been a really, in my opinion, a really collaborative type relationship that I appreciate a lot. But how was the experience just working through with those first machines?
Yeah, I mean, I think you make it sound a little worse than it was. I think the machines definitely did have occasional issues. I think our first day trying to get the machine going was definitely filled with some some sweat and some tears, no blood though. But I will say the machine was repeatable, and that was what was really key for us. Because what we wanted to bring to market was a high quality, consistent vape product. And whenever a machine did have an issue, we would open a ticket with your support team. And if it wasn't you, it was someone, Devin or someone else on your team, who would help stay on the phone until the issue was resolved. And I think that gave us a lot of peace of mind, even if there was an issue with the machine, that we wouldn't be left stranded. And I think that gave us the confidence to continue wanting to open tickets, wanting to share all of the feedback with you. I think recently we discussed trying to make a reservoir that was a little bit bigger. So I think whenever anyone on the Fernway team has an idea, we don't hesitate to bring it to you because of how collaborative this relationship has been. And
yeah, absolutely. A lot of our recent software upgrades in terms of like data reporting and being able to tie things back to batch records and whatnot, those were direct suggestions from you. Like I remember a few months ago, you had made a request on that, and through the support process and everything, we got it, all that. So again, thank you for the feedback, because that has really driven our product development.
Oh, absolutely. I think I see us as sort of fellow travelers and kindred spirits in that our products are and our companies are becoming larger and more sophisticated, and we have to grow together. And that can only happen if we're sharing information back and forth.
Absolutely. You moved from the semi-automatic, and now we just did a walkthrough and everything, and you're running the fully automatic machines. How did you make that transition?
Well, I think our arms were sore from putting every cartridge underneath the needle, and it was time for a little bit of robot-assisted help. And so the transition was actually fairly easy because of how familiar we were with the jet fuelers. Even though the VapeJet is in this big box and visually it looks different, the way it works is very similar. Mm-hmm. From the reservoir to the oil lines to the repeating syringe to the needle, it's a very similar device.
Absolutely.
So when it came to making the transition from the jet fueler to the VapeJet, our team was really well equipped to do it. The VapeJet team helped us create our profiles that are unique to each piece of our hardware. So our half-gram 510 vape cartridge has one profile. Our full-gram vape cartridge has another profile. Each size of the Traveler has a different profile, and that's because of the difference in heights of the hardware. But beyond setting up those initial profiles, the whole process of loading the reservoir into the machine, pressurizing the machine with the nitrogen assist, setting the temperature zones, that was all very familiar to us. And it was a big relief when we saw that platform and the needle moving around, and we knew we didn't have to fill those cartridges one by one anymore.
Awesome. So I know with the Traveler, you have been working with silicon on those devices. Can you describe how that relationship has worked out so far, and the benefits of having that, in my opinion, a really tight feedback loop between the manufacturer, the device, us, the automation equipment, mm-hmm. and the device manufacturer and everything like that?
Yeah, so when we selected Silicon as our all-in-one hardware vendor almost a year ago, we went through several rounds of testing and decided that the performance and the profile of the product was exactly what we wanted. The missing piece was, how are we going to fill these at scale? So that's when we reached out to you. We sent you photos of the devices and said, hey, we want to launch these. Do you think we can get the VapeJet to fill these? And to my surprise and to our good luck, you were already in contact with them, and we were able to design a custom jig, which was rapidly prototyped by the VapeJet team, and we received that within a week of discussion, and we were able to validate that the VapeJet would be able to fill these. So we didn't have to invest in additional equipment, and we were able to place our purchase order with confidence. And when when the devices arrived a few months later, they arrived with additional jigs based on your design, and we were able to use those, and we're selling tens of thousands of those a month.
That's awesome, because that was really a great experience on our part too, was, you know, having that tight feedback loop between all the parties involved. Yeah, from time of photo to first prototype was like a week or two. And then as soon as the production order got there, like we were already set up and, you know, everything was done to the machine shops, everything. It was a really good workflow. And I have to say, your feedback and the tight communication loop there was key to that, along with the Silicon team. Like just having those open lines of communication really made that process amazing for us. Like I hope to be able to replicate that more in the future with, you know, other hardware vendors and just other projects that we take on. It was a great learning process.
Absolutely, for us too. We were able to. I would categorize that launch as smooth as it could possibly go. So I think that's a credit to you and a credit to the Silicon team.
So what has the process been like for taking a new employee and bringing them in and training them up on the systems, and what impact have our systems made on their day-to-day jobs?
Yeah, well, when we bring in a new technician, they'll first start and focus on the packaging work streams here at Fernway. But after they've demonstrated a certain aptitude and attention to detail, we'll graduate them to working on the VapeJet machines. The VapeJet workflow is so dialed in at this point, and the support is so good that everybody has an opportunity to fill some cartridges and as far as the impact on the production team, I would say that the time on the machines is regarded as a great shift. People love to work on the machines. It's definitely a point of excitement when someone graduates to being able to work on the VapeJet machines. The perception is definitely that's where the action is in the production room. And I think the amount of pride that production technicians get from being able to look at the batch of cartridges that they've made at the end of the day, know that that's going out in the world, and it's going to make the lives of thousands of people better. I think that's something that is really rewarding for both me and our production team here at Fernway.
So do you have any like tips or tricks or things you've learned you'd like to share with people about operating the machines or just vape manufacturing in general?
I think number one is just keep it clean. Keep the machines clean. Make sure you're fully cleaning out the reservoirs after every batch. You're running isopropyl through the PTFE lines and really clearing out a happy place for the next batch of vape cartridges to be filled. I think a lot of the issues that operators may encounter will be from residual oil from a last batch, and cannabis oil is so sticky and such a difficult substance to work with. Going over everything with an ethanol-soaked rag at the end of the day, I think really goes a long way. I think my second suggestion would be just to take it slow. I think once the machine is up and running, it's filling a tray of 100 vape cartridges in 5 minutes or 6 minutes. There's no reason to rush the manual parts of the process along. Make sure you're putting your mouthpieces on correctly. Make sure we'll take the time to check the vape cartridges before we put them in the machine and blow them out with an air compressor. I think just paying attention to those small details really go a long way for the end customer.
So what's in the future for Fernway?
Yeah, so we're launching our fall seasonal flavor, pumpkin spice, in the Traveler tomorrow, actually, in October here. But next year, we're looking at launching live resin vape cartridges. We want to evolve Fernway from a cannabis vaporizer brand to a cannabis brand, and our goal is to make that happen in 2023. I do really appreciate our partnership here. I do really mean it. I feel like even though you're all the way across the country, we we've got a partner that's not going to leave us stranded. If we've got a problem, I know someone on your team. If you've got the answers, you'll help us, and you'll take the time and clear out the schedule. And that's so rare to find out in the market, and to find human beings and to create real connections. I feel like that's what we've done here. I know that's how Nicole feels with Dennis, how I feel with, I think I've met most of your team at this point. And I really feel like we're intertwined here, and it's a great feeling to have, honestly.
And I'll say it's been amazing to watch your business grow. Like, I remember setting up those first Microsoft Teams meetings when it was like a fold-up table from Walmart or something, and the first jet fueler. And it's like, and then from that to this, just within 2 years?
2 years, yeah.
That's mind-blowing.
I know, it's been a wild ride.
It's been one of the highlights of my career to be able to be that partner in this, and like just work with you guys. And yeah, we're a solutions provider, but that connection and just that feedback loop and the connections we've made over the past couple of years, it's been a highlight of my career. So I really appreciate everything.
Hey, cheers. Thank you so much.